And joining us now to talk about Ukraine, we have Yevheniia Kravchuk, the Deputy Chair of the Committee on Humanitarian and Information Policy in Ukraine. Good afternoon and welcome to TVP World.
Thank you for having me.
So now, given what we just saw in the information provided by our colleague Jonasz, and of course, as the Russians try to take Vovchansk and they inch closer and closer to Kharkiv, what's this Russian strategy at the northern front of Ukraine?
Well, in the case of Vovchansk, which is just 5 kilometers from the border, Russians are basically destroying it with the bombs. So we evacuated almost all of the civilian population from Vovchansk. I think it's just dozens of people, elderly people that just refuse to leave. Well, obviously, Russians would like to capture Kharkiv, but it's not the case, and they could not even capture Vovchansk. So, of course, one of the reasons why they're opening this front in the north is trying to withdraw the troops from the eastern regions, from Donetsk region, which is one of the primary goals, because right now Russian troops were not successful. It's the third year of war, full-scale invasion, but they were not successful to reach the administrative borders of Donetsk region, which really irritates them, of course. So opening these new fronts probably on their mind is trying to withdraw some other troops from the eastern provinces.
Certainly. One thing that's come to my attention is just looking at the numbers lately. I've realized that the Western aid to Ukraine is just rough estimates, a little bit over $200 billion. Russia itself is planning to spend $400 billion on its military this year alone. Does the West need to wake up to the fact that they're being outspent by an inferior economically Russia?
You see, in the terms of the economy, Russia is much smaller than the West. I mean, Russia's economy is the same GDP as the state of Texas in the United States. But since it's the tyranny, it's autocratic state, they divide this GDP very unequally. So people in Russia, almost 1/3 of Russian population does not have a running water in their houses, but they do spend a lot on military. And I would say it's not just a wake-up call concerning the plans of Russia on Ukraine, but obviously it's also the plans of Russia to other countries, trying to regroup the economy in the way that they can do it, so that they can threaten other countries, not just Ukraine. And also, it's the problem, I would say, of sanctions and the loopholes in sanctions, because different missiles and even drones from North Korea, ballistic missiles from North Korea that are shipped to Russia, when we just look at their contents, the parts are from countries in Western Europe and also in North America. So it means that they do have these back channels through third countries to have the electronics shipped to Russia or North Korea, which are all under heavy sanctions, as we are told, but they still are producing weapons that are then landing in Ukraine.
Now, what about, because as of today, Monday morning, Germany's Foreign Minister Annalena Baerbock, she arrived in Kyiv for an unannounced visit. What kind of outcome would you like to see from this visit?
Well, first and foremost is the air defense. And that's the message that President Zelensky sent to Blinken, the Department of State, the head of Department of State, when he was just a few weeks ago in Ukraine. The same is for Germany. And Germany is actually collecting money for this air defense for Ukraine. It's around €1 billion that was collected. And of course, Germany promised to ship another Patriot to Ukraine. We talked about Kharkiv, the big city of 1 million people, which is like 40 kilometers from Russian border. They would need at least 2 Patriot systems to protect the population from especially ballistic attacks, because ballistic can be intercepted only by Patriot systems.
Right, and if those Patriot systems are delivered, now let's go to the little nuance about not using Western-supplied weapons against Russian territory. Well, in the situation in Kharkiv, I believe there would be no other choice. If they wanted to stop the attacks on the city, they would actually have to fire on Russian aircraft that are in Russian airspace.
And not just aircraft, because the city of Vovchansk that we talked about, which is 5 kilometers, is being destroyed by the artillery. And artillery is situated on the territory of Russia. So basically, for Ukraine, it's important to demilitarize, the part of the Russian border, or target the artillery or the movement of the Russian troops, because we can see them. The satellites are showing that Russians are bringing troops to the border, but the Western allies forbid us to hit the territory. So we can see them. They're planning to attack us, but we cannot reach them unless we use our own weapons. And that's what we use to target some other, I would say, objects on the territory of Russia, deeply, in Russia.
Right, right. Well, Yevheniia Kravchuk, thank you very much for joining us today and discussing this.
Thank you
we
for
appreciate
inviting me.
it, and all the best.
Thank you.